right, hello everyone, and we're back with yet another installment of our author interview series. So my name is Keeron Isaac, the author of Poetry, and now I am the tree. And I'm here with my co-host and partner Shelley-Ann Edwards-Barran, also my editor. We're both of Wood Creative, and we're here with a pretty special and talented guest. So Keiann, just introduce yourself and tell everyone the name of your book.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Keiann John, and I'm the author of Sins of a Woman.
Sounds interesting.
Lovely. The name alone has so much
Yes.
to unpack. But
Mhm.
before we get there, first of all, Kian, we want to say congrats because you recently celebrated a 1 year anniversary of the
Yep.
release of Sins of a Woman. So I know we connected for
Yeah.
that. So props to
Yes.
you. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank
And the
you.
crowd goes
Yeah,
wild.
that's like,
Woo!
yeah. Rah.
Yeah. I'm really proud of
So
myself. So
first of
yeah,
all,
yeah.
you should be. So what got you into writing and when did you start?
Hmm. Um, what got me into writing is actually a friend from primary school. I went to Melville Memorial Girls Anglican School. Hi guys, anyone who is listening from that school.
Hey.
In Belmont, really great school with great teachers. And what happened is I'm a born Adventist. So as you know, we Adventists, when it comes to Friday night, we begin our Sabbath. And also, as you know, back in the 90s, that was the time when all the best shows and series would be showing. So, like Charm and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and all those things that we were hooked on back then. And my friends, they would gather around the table and they would always have something to talk about, some show that was showing on a Friday evening. And I would have nothing to talk about because I would have been worshiping then and I would have been bringing in the Sabbath. And for back then, for a 9-year-old slash 10-year-old, it's like, okay, so that's so boring. I can't be a part of this group. And honestly, I did feel left out because, at that time you want to be a part of a group. And
Yeah.
one day I just wanted the attention on me and I decided to make up some issue and get the attention of my friends. And they loved it. They were eating it up. And the amazing thing is, like, whenever we had breaks in school, I would be telling them about this show. So if it was break time, I'll tell them. And wherever I left off, even though we had schoolwork and every other teaching assignments in between, somehow I remembered by lunchtime break exactly where I left off. And they would come and they would
Wow.
be asking about the show. And they were so interested in it. They'll be like, how come we didn't see that show? When did it show? What station? And I would fib and I would tell them, I think I probably told them either Cinemax or HBO because back then children not supposed to be watching shows on those stations after certain hours. So
That's so funny.
I would tell them the reason why you didn't get to see it is because to make up for not getting to watch TV on a Friday night, my parents would allow me to stay up on Saturday nights all after 10 and all these hours. And that's how I saw the show. And they were really
Right.
hooked week after week until one of my friends, she's a lawyer now, God knows why, she investigated and she stayed up that same time on what's the same channel, and she came to school with her hands on her hips and she was like, Kian, it had no such show showing on TV. You lied. Why did you lie? And so and she was embarrassing me in front of everybody else. She wasn't intentional, but she was so like, it had no show. I stayed up and I saw nothing, and I was caught and I say, yeah, I did lie. And she was like, why you lie though? And I was like, because all they always had something to talk about and I had nothing. And she was like, you're really good at this. And I was like, good at what? And she was like telling stories. Have you ever thought of writing it down? And I was like, who writes down their thoughts? That was just, something I was just doing to get you guys' attention. And she was like, no, Kian. She was like, yeah, what? Get a book, get a notebook. And the same things that you told us, get a pencil or a pen and start to write it down. And I did. And I found it very refreshing and different. And I was curious about it. And it just took off. And even going into secondary school, that friend, she had my back in terms of we weren't going to the same schools, but she would be like, I have an author friend that I want you to read her book. And it was just amazing, the
Oh,
response. Yeah. So that's how
That's
it
nice.
started. A lie.
Well,
Started a lie.
they say use your powers for good, not evil.
Yeah.
So you turn your powers
Yes.
into good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing, dude. That's incredible. So, what was the impetus that launched Sins of a Woman? You know, we love that title. It's so intriguing. So, what was the jump from knowing that you're capable and proficient in writing, and then actually
Mhm.
jumping into saying, okay, I'm going to publish this book? So, what sparked that?
I think it was several things that sparked that along the way. So I would call it like a writing journey. And my journey started, as I said, in primary school, but it didn't just stop there. Like it went across even into secondary school, where both my writing teacher, my English teacher, Miss Gill, and even my lessons teacher, Mrs. Little, they both realized the talent slash gift that I had, and they would push me or encourage me to keep writing and critique it, give me some constructive criticism, and help me along the way. And my lessons teacher was so impressed with how well every time she gave me a writing prompt that I was able to get deep within my imagination and pull out something that was really inspiring. And she said, at a Form 4 level, she was like, okay, you need to go and do writing at CXC. And I was just amazed at that. So that first opportunity of, for me, doing something as big as CXC in Form 4, which at the time I did not know you can do something like that. I thought you have to wait until Form 5. I think there started the whole somebody believes in you and it means that you're probably really good at it. So let's try it. And I did, and I was successful. I got a distinction. So even the
Nice.
scoring helped me to realize, okay, so it's not just that my teacher really likes me, but it means that somebody else assessed me and something they saw in the writing was possible. It was really good. And things like instances and moments like those along the way, it really reinstated that, hey, it's not all in your mind. People are not just saying that because they like you or they want to tell you something polite, but maybe when you add up all the praise and when you add up all those who are moved by your writing, maybe just maybe it's really good. And for a long time, I always read international writers, and I always thought, what can a Caribbean girl really bring to the stage? And I was like, nothing, because they have all the resources out there, they have all the publishing houses, they have, all the fan base and everything. And um, it kind of stopped me for years, even though I was beginning to write Sins of a Woman. Within that 9 years, those were the thoughts in my mind that I want to be on the international level, but I don't think that I was born in the right country to be on the international
Mhm.
level. And
Hmm.
I think it was last year when I was like, you know what, you're getting older. So it's either you do this and you put your all into it and see where it goes, or you just don't. And that was the final mindset that I had that cemented my thinking that, okay, let's do this. You could do this. You had enough persons say this is really good. Let's see. And I did. I did a ton of research about what was needed for a really, really good debut novel, which of course is the cover. The cover had to be the thing that captures
Mhm.
Yeah.
before anything else. And I put
Yeah.
my all invested in that cover because I know it's just like 3 seconds you have to get somebody's attention before they go into your actual content. So all
Right.
of that really made me say, when I saw the cover, I was like, yep, I'm ready. I'm ready to put it on
Nice.
I
Amazon.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So do you have a copy of the book so that we can see the cover and show the
Yes.
audience the cover?
Yes, I do. I know it have the mirror image that you always see it on the opposite, but this is the cover of Sins of a Woman. The cover was
Hmm.
created by an international
Nice.
company called Demonza. They're really, really good at bringing what you have in your mind to reality. And yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, awesome. And
Nice.
I wanted to ask a question about that journey you said you were on in terms of uh feeling like you didn't have what it takes to step into the international market. And now that
Hmm.
you are in, well, you're an author, you're published, it's been a year. How do you
Hmm.
feel about that now in terms of being able to step into the international market? What do you see in the international market then?
Right now, I think part of what helped me to feel like I needed to celebrate my 1 year anniversary was because I saw that, my doubts were just that. It was imaginary. It wasn't real. Because I did post my book on Amazon and I got a lot of reviews, and the reviews were really, really inspiring and wonderful. Like up to this day, I have 4.7 out of 5, and these are from persons who sometimes in the review comments they would say they have reached like reading hundreds of novels within my genre, which is historical fiction slash Christian fiction or biblical fiction, and this one is really captured them, and some even said that it felt like they were reading Francine Rivers. And for me, that was like, oh my gosh, that's something, because she was the author that inspired me to want to write Christian fiction. And to hear that someone say, your writing level, I can see it's on the same with her. I'm like, wow. And then even hearing from Mesu Andrews, who is also a well-known biblical fiction writer, saying that my novel caught her attention, even though she hadn't read it as yet. But when she saw it, she was like, okay, and she heard the premise, she was like, I need to read this. And she threw out to her fans, what do you think about this author? Have you ever read it? And some of them, they commented, yeah, we have, and we're impressed. And just hearing those thoughts of others, it really cemented again for me that, okay, Keiann, this is real and you should celebrate this moment. So yeah, I'm
That's
really, really
that's
happy.
amazing. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's amazing. So do you want to just because we've spoken a lot about the book and what people think about it, but do you want to share like a small synopsis of what the book is for the viewers who may not have read it as it and will purchase it following this interview?
Okay. Do you want me to read the back blurb or just say what I know about the
Yeah,
book?
you could read the blurb, yeah, or
Um,
if you wanna say anyone, yeah.
Okay, so my blurb on the book itself, as is, it says, a devastating incident plunges Zahara into a battle for her soul. Zahara is a highly sought after candidate for marriage due to her extraordinary beauty. In order to keep her dark secrets hidden, however, she strives to avoid being betrothed at all costs. When Matthias accidentally discovers Zahara's secret, he vows to stay by her side forever to protect her. But when Zahara's decisions destroy lives, Matthias is unable to save her. This is a captivating story about a ruined daughter who befriends a forsaken son, and how one woman's condemnation leads them to an encounter that reveals the meaning of grace, mercy, and a love that covers a multitude of sins.
Wow, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So what I'm most curious about that whole, in the genre itself and the historical part of it in particular, why that selection. But let me preface why I'm asking the question. I think now one of the reasons we're doing this series is that we really want to showcase all the wonderful talent we have in this country where writing is concerned. And we want to inspire, up and coming authors to really put themselves out there, do the needful, do the research. You mentioned that several times, that you did
Yeah.
a lot of research,
Yeah.
and so that we can function at the international level. It's not just, we're not really writing books for our own people. We want to showcase ourselves on the world stage.
Correct.
So I'm curious about so many things related to that I just shared, but the choice of historical, and not just historical writing, but biblical. So we're going into that kind of history, which is quite different. I'm really
Mm-hmm.
curious about, how that came into being. That's a far cry from, telling stories about a television show, right?
It is. It definitely is. I see that you noticed that. Yeah. Let me see how to shorten it, because again, all these things are different points in my journey, and through different persons and whatnot, it would have influenced the direction I wanted to go in. So one of my biggest influence is that after a while, when I realized, and this was at the secondary school level, I realized the impact that I could have with persons when it came to my writing. I realized how powerful it was. It wasn't just entertainment, as I had first assumed, but it could really transform lives. And at that time, I was writing things that was more what you would call probably only romance, erotica romance, and something sensational or drama in its genres. And it left me empty. It left me feeling empty because I began to realize how hooked persons could become on the writing. And I had to ask myself that, is this what I really want? Do I just want to leave persons with entertainment and then they close the book and that's it? Or do I want to really impact the life of a person? And questions like that help me sit back and realize that I don't want to just entertain you and give you a good read and then leave you. I want to leave you with something that I know could really change your life and even draw you closer to God. Because at the end of the day, I am a Christian, and I felt like being a Christian and what I was promoting was not correlating it was not thinking, and I was like, nah, I have to make a choice. It's either I want the glory from entertainment, um, or do I want to give someone else that glory, which is God? And that's when I decided I'll do Christian writing. But at that time, I was like, ooh, I don't know much Christian authors or biblical authors. This thing is probably boring. The only book that I know that is Christian-like and probably half interesting is the Bible. And then everybody falls asleep on the Bible. So
That's
it was a real struggle about getting into that genre and not having any mentors or anyone to look up to. Because again, I'm from the Caribbean, and like, how many Caribbean persons really stay on their book list historical or biblical fiction? So I was very much alone in it, and that's where all the research came in, because I wanted to make sure if I'm going down this road, I had all the information that I needed. And that's where Francine Rivers came in, and she was excellent in promoting both God and still keeping the entertainment level to the level that I wanted. So I was like, I can't do both. I can promote God stuff, and it can still be entertaining. It don't have to be boring. So that was the first enlightening moment. And then I started to grab up from Amazon or even the library. Our library Nalis was very instrumental in helping me find books for that genre. And that really helped in saying that I want to do this. I want to bring persons closer to God. And Sins of a Woman just happened to fall in line. Um, I think I was going through something in my life, if I can remember clearly, and I read that small passage in John, and the woman who was almost stoned for adultery. And I was like, who needs to watch a movie? This well entertained. I was like, people seeing this, like all that drama went on. And I was so excited by the story. I wanted more. But that passage, it doesn't have even a whole chapter on it. It's like this something to just wet your mouth. It's not enough. And I was like, that's cool. I wonder if I could probably make a story around that. And that's helped me into looking into the background of the Bible in terms of the culture, the Jewish culture, the Roman culture. I always loved history, always loved it. So my love for history helped me in researching. So it wasn't tedious. It was like, oh, this is quite interesting. Wow, this is what they used to do back in there. Wow, this is what they used to use. And that's how it went in me getting into the research. And I think it really shone through in the book as well too, because persons was like, you did a lot of research and it's really interesting the way you tied it into the story. And that's just because I love research. So
that's amazing.
all those little pieces, when they came together, it made the journey easy to see what genre I wanted and why.
Mm,
Yeah.
That's
okay.
amazing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what do you want people to take away from Zahara's journey? But I guess without spoiling
No, you
the
could go
plot.
ahead. You could go
Was that?
ahead. That's okay. It's out there already, so you're probably speaking to readers anyway, so that's all right.
And I think people
Yeah,
who
so what do
read,
you
even if
want?
they know
Yeah,
it, they would want to still
Yeah, they would
read
want.
about it to
Yeah,
get the exploration. So yes.
yeah.
yeah. So is there something that you want people to take away from her journey? Because I know you're like me, you're very you love to inspire, you love things that connect, things that really deep. So what is the underlying message that you hope your readers, and I'm sure people have already taken it or you've read. So what is it that you want for more who haven't read it as yet?
What I want readers to take away from Zahara's journey is one of the taglines that I have throughout the book, which is love covers a multitude of sins. And like that tagline wasn't just slipped in there, it really had a purpose of being in there trickling throughout the book because I wanted to connect with readers who would have gone through some sort of trauma, childhood trauma, and because of the trauma, they question, why God, why me, or why is this happening to me? And they really became angry with God and whatnot, and they felt like he can possibly love them if he would let them go through such a harsh ordeal. And that's why Zahara's story was so raw, because it's for that particular reader. So I want that reader, or anyone who reads it, even if you have never went through a trauma, but you may have been affected by one, even if it's through proximity and not personally. Um, that no matter what you go through, there's no pit too deep where God's love is not deeper still. And he literally chases after us, and it's just for you to see how much he cares for you. And I wanted to create the story and the journey for Zahara in such a way to literally show that even when we are blinded to it because of our own grieving and anger and whatnot, God is right there throughout the entire journey. So that's my takeaway that I want readers to take away from it. Yeah.
Lovely. And I think what people want to know about you is that apart from being an amazingly talented author, you're also by profession a counseling psychologist. So I mean,
Yeah.
I know, but what do you think that they connect, like your author journey and your counseling? Is it that you feel like it trickles its way into your writing or vice versa? So do you think they're aligned, or do you think they're two separate entities?
I think from the very beginning that was probably my intention, even though I was not aware of it at the time, because like I said, when I started my thinking how it was back then and now it's completely different. But I think that somewhere along the line I always wanted to reach persons who were broken or had a really hard time in life. And even now, when I think of stories that I want to create, I realize I always want to create something that have a mental health background with it, and something that has a Christian background with it. Because like I said, there's so many souls out there that are going through such a rough time. And even in the mental
True.
health field, there are so many different challenges you can go through and disorders and all these things that you have to try to overcome. And I really think that the two for me, it just connects naturally and nicely, and I just allow it. I just let the flow go. So again, I think that's why readers really connected with Zahara, because I made her character as raw as it could be without scaring anybody. I
Yeah.
showed the ugly thoughts we could have, the real hard trials we can go through. I wanted that to shine through as naturally as possible, because I had the intention of reaching such persons. Yeah. So it was
Amazing.
intentional.
Yeah.
I just want to add, I had the opportunity to read a exit. So she sent me a early I guess you could like an
Advanced
advanced
reader.
reader
Yeah, advanced reader copy.
yeah. So I read, I believe it was the first chapter, the first couple of chapters, and let me tell you guys something. The imagery is insane. It's such a visual, immersive read. Like you actually feel like if you're walking through the biblical slash historical aspect of it, and you actually feel like you kind of like a spy on the wall listening to her conversation with these guys. I'm like, yo, what am I doing here? This is a personal conversation. But that's how good the imagery is. I was like sucked in, and I think I really like that because I always tell people, like, that's what I want to pull me into something. So I feel like that also would
Yeah.
have been the catalyst that got a lot of people hooked, on the
Yeah,
storyline. It hooks you in
it
like
was.
immediately.
It was. It was. And for me, I'm walking around with a movie in my head every day. Sometimes my husband have to tell me, Keiann, are you with me? And that's happening since secondary school. Now
That's
you're laughing.
hilarious.
That was happening since secondary school, where the teachers will be like, Earth to Keiann, Earth to Keiann. I'm always walking around with a movie in my head with some book. So if I could see it, I hope to make you see it, and I think I have the ability to make you see it. If I can't see it, well, you ain't going to see nothing because I need to see this. I need to
Mhm.
see this. And I take it so seriously that you need to see it. That I even do character auditions. Yeah, I audition my characters. Not every and anybody gets to go in the book, and even the
Wow, that's
protagonist,
interesting.
they have to really make or break the role.
Wow.
And if you don't, then you're not even going to be a secondary character because I even take those seriously as well. They're not cardboard. They all have to really audition and
Wow.
make a tight fit. So I do
It
audition.
rough out there, but even fictional characters getting the cut.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody gets interviewed. Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
gets.
everyone, villain,
Oh
protagonist,
my
love
god.
interest, everybody have
Character
to.
they're thinking he making the cut in the debut. I'm like, let me check, he even make it
Mm.
on the front page.
Yeah, we'll
It's
get back to you. Don't
serious.
call us. Don't call us.
Yeah.
It's serious. Yeah, it's that serious. I take it. So yeah.
I
Yeah, but
love it.
as you're saying that again, you know, going back to what I want coming out of all of these interviews that we're doing, I'm hearing again a lot of intentional activities
Mhm.
and a lot of deliberate decisions regarding the quality and what you want in your book. So for you, it's not just about telling a story. You have a higher purpose associated with the book.
Yeah.
So you're both telling that story and making that story count. And
Yeah.
in order to get to that, to tell the story in a way that is entertaining and have it count, a lot of research has to go into that.
Mhm.
And one of the
Definitely.
things I sometimes ask, new authors, where did you get that information? How does it fit? Was it like that in that time? What does it look like? How does it feel like? And that I think is something that I'm not sure all authors, especially new authors, really understand that level
Mm.
of commitment to research if it is you really want to A, put a book out there that's more than just a brief entertainment, and
Yeah.
B, really compete at the international level and not just be on the international stage, but actually have a presence there. So we're
Mhm.
not just existing, we're having a
Yeah.
presence. And to get
Yeah.
the kind of feedback that you mentioned, it this is how you do it. There's no, there's no magic, there's no pixie dust.
Oh no.
This
Oh
is how you do
no.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not sprinkling any pixie dust, but this is how
Hard,
you do
so
it. So
hard
you have
work.
to put
Yeah.
in the research and be mindful of what it is you're putting out there. So
Mhm.
I want to ask then, you said you've been working on this for a while with all the research and so on. Um,
Mhm.
can you give like a sort of, not necessarily a time frame or a timeline, but an idea of how long it took you to complete the book?
Well, it was published last year, and I do have in the back of the book that it took probably about 9 years to my memory,
Mm,
Wow.
approximately 9 years. And through that 9 years, that meeting up with readers. So I became a member of a site called writers.com, really, really engaging site where readers and writers,
Eh,
new and old, can meet together and basically they critique your stuff. And what I liked about a site like that is that it's raw. Nobody really knows you. They don't owe you anything. So you don't expect that everybody would love it. It was a real good way of me getting a feel of what it would be like when a reader reads my book. And so
mm,
that helped is as part of my research as well, getting out there. And even again with the confidence, what helped is hearing them say, you have a really clean writing style. And I never heard words like that. I was like, what do you mean clean writing style? Like, should I have a dirty writing style? You know, and but that was just my own thoughts, and
yeah.
they had to from their reader point of view, they had to explain, no, it's like it's really neat, like you could see everything was, as you said, intentional, and the way you put this scene with this scene, you didn't just throw things together. You could see it's going somewhere. And that also, even though I was the one that did that, it helped me learn how they perceived what I did. So
Mhm.
that was really it was really good as well for me as well too. So that 9 years, I didn't even realize 9 years passed until I published the book. But
Seriously.
yeah, it was very much needed. And just to say as well too, not just the manuscript matter, because obviously the majority of the 9 years was the manuscript. But when I began to work towards publishing, and more research now came into the actual aesthetic of the book and the
Mhm.
formatting and the typography. And that also took me on a whole other journey, because I had to make sure, that it was easy to read, and the way the formatting came, it was professional. And, I don't give the excuse, well, oh God, I have enough money, so I go and do this myself. I had to really tell myself, don't go down that road, because your first novel is your first standard. And if your first standard is not at a top level, then automatically readers would think this is your standard, and they will come to expect that for book two and book three. And I was like, mm-mm. No matter how long this takes, this has to be at a standard that's really good, because this represents me, this represents my ability. So everything have to really be on par. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm really
yeah.
happy that you shared that, because I know this is something you and I spoke about a lot with, like, time and because you always, like, you have, like, these deadlines in your head and you want it. But then I love that you said I love that you said what you said there about, still just trusting the process and allowing it to come into fruition naturally, because
Yeah.
greatness
Mhm.
takes time. I
It
know you don't have
does.
to, like, rush because you want it to be the best. And that's something I always say as well. Is like, when you actually finish and you print, it is finalized. So that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be your stamp on the writing will. Unless you
Yes.
do like a second edition or whatever, but like the first edition will still exist.
It'll always be
So,
there.
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that was
And
pretty cool that you shared that.
what struck me the most in all that you said is your desire to meet your audience. And I guess that to me is part of the the counselor in you recognizing that there's another person at the end of this reading. So it's
Yeah.
not just your idea and this story and message that you have to share, but you're sharing it with someone, and that someone who is reading has to connect. And in order for them to connect, you need to do
Mm-hmm.
certain things. So it was
Yeah.
almost as if there was a conversation and you had actual conversations with readers. So, and I feel like now I'm looking at it quite a lot from an editor's perspective
Right.
and a writing instructor's perspective, because these are the things that I try to get, even the little ones, because I work with kids now. And
Right.
even with children, I try to get them to understand that, hey, you're not writing for yourself. Yes, you have
Mm-hmm.
something to say, but who are you saying it to? They have to be able to hear it and understand it. So you need to do your part by packaging it
Yeah.
properly, using the right
Yes.
words, using the right sentences and structures so that when they get it, they would be able to understand. So we're all playing a role. It's not just me writing and then the reader, well, if they don't understand it, that's them. They don't understand these things. It doesn't quite work like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah, and I
Indeed,
feel like
That's
that's a
indeed.
really important message, that value placed on the reader.
Yes. Yeah, we
yeah.
need to do that, and even a value placed on yourself, because another thinking that I used to have is that I think after a while of hearing so many persons praising my work, I started to feel like, okay, so this is God given. Clearly it is, because I didn't really have formal writing to say. Of course, through school, you do English, you probably do some English literature, same thing secondary school, university, you touch on English stuff. But to say actually getting into the craft of writing, as the professionals called it, I didn't really had that, because for a long time I was like, that's a person who probably not really sure what they're doing. I know what I'm doing, and it took me some time to realize, nope, 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 Keiann. Just like you invest in your studies and you invest in whatever else you have to do, you shouldn't just take for granted that God gave you a talent and that's it. You need to actually hone it and work on it and grow it and whatnot. Again, if you want to be well received by the readers who accustomed to, a certain level as well. And I started to read books on the craft of writing, and that also was a huge game changer. James Scott, for example, I would always say get your hands on a James Scott book. Right in our national libraries have his book on plot and structure and dialogue and all these different categories within writing itself. And I would say that really helped me, really excelled in what I knew I had before and really making it the best that it could be. And to this day, I still look out for books that would really help with the craft, because I realize the craft is something, the more you invest in it, the more the readers see that you had invested in it. And they really
Yes.
are happy that you took the time and you didn't just say, well, I will get at this thing, read my book. They're really, really happy when they can see, as you said, Miss Barran, that you thought about them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they feel it in the words,
I do.
and that's
Yeah.
the thing, that there's that author reader connection, and it's almost as if, readers feel like they know the author because they know their style, and they know, so you have that kind of communication happening, and it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just I have something to say so you better listen. It's a
Yeah.
little
And
bit beyond
Indeed.
that.
what I really love about something I always love about Keiann, and like, I'm happy that the viewers get to see it this afternoon or today, is that she's very intentional with what she does, and she does her research. So
Hmm.
she's very thorough, and I love that she pays so much attention to like learning the trade and the sales and all that,
Yeah.
and it obviously is paying great dividends. So I think that's really something important to note for people who want to get into this field as well. Do the research, be intentional. So that's I think that's a good point to take away as well.
Yep. Yep.
Indeed. Indeed.
So we heard
So,
a lot about
mhm.
this great book. Oh, sorry, yeah, Shelley, you can
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Where can we get our hands on it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can get your hands on it on Amazon.com. You know that's one of the biggest platform there is when it comes to self-published authors and their books being out there. So you can just type in Sins of a Woman and you can put in Keiann John. So my pen name is minus my maiden name. So there's Keiann John, and you can see it there. And Amazon affords you the ability to get a preview. I think there's like 4 chapters of my book. They afford you. They give you a lot of preview before you bought it. So I guess that helps as well too, and in the decision for the reader to buy the book. For those of you that like to watch at reviews and that's what moves you as well too, there are some great reviews on the book as well too that could help you lean for nay or yay about the book as well. There
Hmm.
is a disclaimer, by the way, and I'll say it now, even though you'll see it for yourself when you go on the site. That says that if you have any sexual abuse background or childhood trauma background, it could be a trigger warning for you, because the book does have heavy childhood trauma um, themes in it. So you can read the disclaimer and you also can decide whether you're ready to venture into such a read. Of course, I was
Hmm.
sensitive, so it's not like I gave the disclaimer and well, you read at your own caution, whatever. I was still trying to make sure that it had enough of
Hmm.
it
Right.
that you needed to get as well. So yeah, or
Okay.
if you're local, well, that's international. If you're local and you're in Trinidad like we are, you can just hit me up on Instagram, send me a message on Instagram, or even Facebook, Messenger, and let me know that you're interested in the book. It's 180 TT, by the way. That's the cost of it, and I will get the book on to you. I
Just tell
haven't put
them
it.
your Instagram handle.
But oh yes, my Instagram. My Instagram is k.s.john, right? So
Right.
KS John, which is my initials as well. I was just about to say I haven't put my book in bookstores as yet. I'm still very much enjoying meeting readers personally. So I know it's a lot of work when I have to either self-deliver it or have it delivered, but I I still like that, meeting you and greeting you. So yes, not in bookstores as yet. Maybe it will be in
Okay.
the future, but not right now.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And we
K
know,
K dot S dot John, that's
Yeah,
Instagram, and on
Instagram.
Facebook, is it the
On
same?
Facebook. No, on Facebook. But it's the same for I think for my author page. Hmm.
Well,
I
then
know
that's
for my
enough, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I think for my author page is that. If not, for the
I
Facebook
think it's
author
your
page,
probably you just your full name.
yeah, my full name, Keiann John. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
nice.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we know you're
Nice.
always working on projects. Do you wanna tease what's next? What's in the
Always,
future? Or are
always.
you yeah.
I thought I walk around these things in my head. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, my next projects, yeah, it's plural for that one because it's two projects
Nice.
at the same time. It's a devotional, and that came out of Sins of a Woman actually. Although it's going to be standing on its own, it's a standalone, but it was really inspired by Sins of a Woman and the reader's reaction. So I created a devotional for those readers that feel like they want to know more about God and getting into that aspect of it. And the devotional name is The Heart Search. Um,
Mm.
yes, it's the heart search. It's really about God searching your heart and those sins that, like Sahara, that you are dealing with. It may not be the big sins that we are thinking, because when person hears sins of a woman, I know you're thinking, there's a book about adultery, or she probably is a
Yeah.
prostitute, or something like sensual like that. And it's not, it's not. It's really those sins of the heart that you don't let people know about, but you know that you are striving with evil intentions, envy and all these things. So I think those of you who want that intimate connection with God, that book will do for you. I'm hoping to bring it out next year, please the Lord. I'm trying not to rush the process, trying to make it natural. So next year,
Mhm.
please the Lord, is most likely when I would like to bring it out. And then, of course, Sins of a Woman is actually a three-part book. It's a series. The Way of the Wind is the name of the entire series. And so that was just book one. I know many of you were asking for book two. Bear with me. I'm working on I'm working on it. I have a way that I really need to make sure I see everything to prepare it for you. Think of it as a gift that I'm really trying to make sure is the best gift that I
Yeah.
can give to you. So, but I'll try to get that out later next year, hopefully.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I
Nice.
Nice,
do
nice,
have the
nice.
name of book two at least. The name of book two is A Walk in the Light. So
Mm.
that's the name of book two.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice,
Nice. I
nice.
love it. I
So,
love it.
so guys, all right. So we're following on Instagram, we're connecting on Facebook, and we're making
Yeah.
sure to get our copy of the first one so that we'll be ready
Yes.
Yeah.
for book two. Awesome
Yes.
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Nice,
So
nice.
Keiann, thanks so much for being with us. It meant a lot. So it's fun. And
Thank
you know
you.
you're doing it, you're doing big things, so proud of you. And we wish you continued success and God's continued blessings on your author journey and even your life journey. So thanks a lot for being here with us. And thanks
Thank
to everybody who
you.
tuned in. And if you guys do have anything else to close and say, if you guys want to say anything, or we just say, sign out right here and tell our viewers, thanks for watching. Continue to
Yeah.
support our local authors,
Yes,
and we
please
will
buy
see
the
you in
book.
the next one.
That's what I want
Yes.
to say. Buy the book
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
By the
and
book.
leave a good
Thanks,
review as
guys.
well.
Yes. Do
Definitely.
do. Authors
Yeah.
thrive on reviews. It's like little gifts that you guys give to us. So
So
we do
true.
welcome reviews. We feel honored that you take the time and give a review. So
Hmm.
Amazon and on
Hmm.
Goodreads as well, because my book is on Goodreads
Nice.
listing. You can leave your reviews in those two platforms.
All right. Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, take care, everybody, and see you in the next one.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye.